Good afternoon everyone, and welcome to the online launch of the CQI's Next Generation Network. My name is Alan Ovens and I will be the host of today's event. I am the Head of Procurement Assurance for the defence organisation Selex Electronic Systems, and I am also the Chair of the Next Generation Network. The CQI is the leading voice for the quality profession and quality professionals. The CQI Next Generation Network aims to encourage young people working in quality to stay within the field and to create resources to foster an interest in quality for future generations. So, what is the purpose of today's online event? This event will be paying particular focus to careers in quality, what they are, what they entail, the opportunities that are available to those already in quality roles and those considering them, and how we as existing quality professionals can encourage greater knowledge of quality roles. Joining me on the panel today are Lowellyne James, Hannah Murfet, Estelle Clark and Amy Bell. Welcome everyone. Lowellyne.
Yeah, thanks Alan. My name is Lowellyne James. I'm the course leader for the MSc program in quality management at the Aberdeen Business School located in Aberdeen, Scotland. As a lecturer in quality management, my aim is to inspire students to pursue quality management as a career, and secondly, to promote quality management within the Aberdeen business region. As part of this whole aim and ethos, I have taken over the role as chair of the North of Scotland branch. What we're doing in North of Scotland branch is that how we're working in partnership with the Aberdeen Business School to ensure that quality management programs remain current, and also that theory is applied to practice in the sense that we invite practitioners in to give their views on how they implement quality management within industry.
Thank you, Lowellyne. Hannah.
Hello, I'm Hannah Murfet. I'm Product Quality Manager at a company called Horizon Discovery. It's a biotechnology company based in Cambridge, making genetic and cell-based tests. I'm also the Vice Chair of the Next Generation Network and strongly believe that quality can be a career to aspire to. Too many people fall into a quality career having not really experienced what quality actually means throughout any of their education or university experience. And for me, this event is about promoting that quality can be a career to aspire to. And, you know, it can be really interesting. So I hope that a lot of people find today useful.
Thank you, Hannah. Estelle.
Thank you. I'm Estelle Clark. I'm the Group Safety and Business Assurance Director for Lloyds Register, and business insurance business insurance includes safety, quality, environment and risk management. I've worked in quality for just over 25 years. I've worked in 4 different sectors for 4 different companies and in 4 different countries. So I've looked at manufacturing with an IS company, I've looked in financial services, I've worked for a project-based electronic engineering company, and now I'm working for Lloyds Register, which is a global risk and safety management consultancy. So quite different. And it has been the most fabulous career ever, but I absolutely fell into it in the way that Hannah said. And as well as being working as a day job for Lloyds Register, I'm the Vice Chairman of the Chartered Quality Institute, and one of the things I want to do while I'm Vice Chair and when I'm Chair is to make sure that people don't have to fall into it, that they do know that this is an option that they have open, and that routes into quality careers are well established and well understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Estelle. Amy.
Hello, my name's Amy Bell and I'm a Quality Engineer at BAE Systems Maritime Submarines in Cumbria. I work in the Supplier Assurance Department, which involves supplier audits, ensuring that the product we receive from the supplier meets all the specifications and requirements, and also other things like helping with investigations and problem solving. I'm also involved with the Northern Region branch of the CQI, and I'm a member of the Next Generation Network.
Thank you, Amy. There are a number of questions that have been posed ahead of this event, which we'll kick off with. I'd also like to open up the floor to our audience, so please feel free to ask questions during the event. If there is anything you want to know, make sure you get involved. You can ask our panellists questions individually or as a group. So to kick things off, Hannah, can you tell us a little bit about your background? What did you study or train in, and how you find yourself working in a quality role today?
Okay, well, I studied medical biochemistry at the University of Birmingham. From there I became a lab technician, and I became involved with the research into purifying human proteins. The research I did became the department's standard practice, and therefore I became involved with the processes and the monitoring involved with that purification process. From there, my career in quality was a natural progression, and became involved with a different company manufacturing software medical devices. I find that quality can be translated across industry reasonably well, so I was able to use a lot of the skills I developed in the first company at the second. I now work for Horizon Discovery, which is a genetic and cell engineering based company. So it's really interesting applying the principles of quality management to something that's quite abstract, like a piece of DNA in a test tube. So it's really interesting.
Excellent. And Amy, how about you? How did you end up in quality management?
I actually had a linguistics degree from Manchester, and I ended up working for a small software engineering company in the northeast who were working on some software for the Submarines, which I now work on for BAE. And they couldn't spell or punctuate anything, so they asked me to help with their documentation, and that ended up leading into configuration management, change control, all of which are really important things in the defence industry. We need full traceability, and that then led into looking at stock control and helping manage things like that. And then I was offered a chance to go over to the northwest and work for basically was my customer in a quality role there. And because I've got a lot of buying experience as well, it ended up being in the supplier assurance team, which is fantastic. I get to go all over the country meeting new people, and it also means I don't also get to see how other people do things, but I can also help them and spread the quality message there as well. So
excellent. So Estelle, in a nutshell, what is quality management to you? And
quality management is about making the work work. So if you want to get it down to 2 words, it's work. And I get quite irritated when people talk about process re-engineering or business process re-engineering, because I rarely see business processes that have been engineered in the first place. So quality management has got 3 main pieces. First of all, understanding what it is that your organisation needs to achieve. And that's made up of external compliance, whether that's regulatory or it's in relation to specific standards that the organisation needs to comply with in order to get client business, so 9,000, 18,000, 14,000, etc. And within that piece is also what the organisation itself needs to achieve. So what is the organisation's aspirations? That's first piece. Second bit is building then, creating that engineering, that system that delivers to those requirements, internal and external, and doing the assessment and the assurance around making sure that you know that that works. So lots of quality roles in relation to that piece. I'm sure everybody relates to that. And the third part is you need to be measuring to know whether it's working. And if it's not working, you need to remedy it. And so you need to be able to put all the improvement and change management activities in as well. So governance, assurance, improvement, making the work work.
Excellent.
Just in support of what Estelle just said, I like to precede the CQI's definition of quality management, which says to, in a nutshell, deliver products and services on time, at optimal cost, with minimal loss to society. And I believe what has been lost out of that equation is the minimum loss aspect. And that is where the boundaries of quality management lie. It lies in sustainability and corporate social responsibility. That's where the boundaries lie now, currently, as far as we understand it, for 3 main reasons. One, carbon emissions is one of the major issues facing business in terms of process efficiency. Secondly, on the corporate social responsibility side, is also the extension of the role of the customer to go beyond just shareholders and the direct customer as dictated by the process-related view of the customer, but to include global society. And thirdly, it's to make that connection between the role of business. Should business be about only the generation of profits? What about also to the greater good of society? And we've seen that that based upon catastrophic failures from companies such as Toyota, and also failures within the banking industry, to understand that how there's a greater customer and that greater customer society.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that in a nutshell is why quality management as a whole is becoming more important and crucial in the world of business, both today and moving forward.
Well, I'd like to say from the perspective of my role, if I may, that I take responsibility within Lloyds Register for the corporate social responsibility agenda, and it's understood that that is put in place and delivered primarily through the quality management system, as well as, of course, as the organisation's ethics and beliefs.
Okay. So, Hannah, in terms of the competencies and the skills that we require in order to consider a career in quality, what would your views on that be?
I think there's many skills, and it does depend on the organisation that you work for. But I think largely an attention to detail is a must, because you must be able to look at something, whether it be something in the production line or whether it's a process, and actually see between the lines and actually understand what that means for an organisation and the people that perform the process. I think also good communication skills are essential, because quite often with quality it's about negotiation. You can't just come into somebody and bombard them with your idea. You have to bring them on board and kind of take their ideas as well. And I think finally just kind of a real kind of curiosity is key, especially when it comes to auditing and things like that, and the continuous learning involved with quality. You have to be interested, you have to care and be passionate about what you're doing, otherwise it doesn't mean anything.
You're absolutely right, and I think from my point of view on that as well, the behavioural aspects, a lot more, even in some cases more so than the technical expertise, if you like, within organisations, is really what makes an impact. If we take, for example, this year's theme of World Quality Day being one of collaboration, the assurance function within many organisations relies quite heavily on collaboration, working hand in hand in partnership with a number of other functions within that. So I find that to be key in terms of young quality professionals coming up through the ranks as well. That is what they have to master as such.
Definitely.
So, Alan, could I interject here? When we look at quality management in terms of a profession, we need to look at also competency, and competency is the key here. And it should be defined by three things. One is training, qualifications, and experience. Training may be given on the job that is not necessarily leading to a qualification. Qualification, however, provides you with an underpinning understanding of the quality management body of knowledge. And secondly, experience could only be given over time. Most of us come into the profession from different backgrounds. Traditionally, it has been a scientific background. I came from a scientific background as well, being going through the process of being a lab technician and then eventually evolving into a quality manager and then now transitioning to academia. So competence is important, but just to support what Hannah said, let's look at a more value-based approach. What sort of values do we want from a quality management practitioner? And the ASQ, which is our partner member, gave a good example of Dr. Walter Stewart has been an individual that was genuinely interested in the human spirit, had an interest in learning and continuous learning, of course, because he set the foundations for what we know today as quality management, and also more importantly was very people orientated. So there are two things that we need to look at in terms of defining what a qualified quality manager should be. There should be the training, qualification, and experience, but also the person must have the right value set in order to promote this very, very proud profession.
Excellent, thank you.
I could just, if you don't mind, if I could just give my view on this particular topic, and I agree with absolutely everything that all of the panellists have said in relation to this. Just picking up on something that you were saying earlier, Amy, that you have an opportunity of going across the country and meeting with lots and lots of different people within your organisation and also within your supply chain. So in terms of collaboration, this job does need people who are outward going, people who feel comfortable in chatting with people. It also needs people with huge amount of curiosity. It's not okay in the quality professional to go, you know what, I don't think that works and I can't be bothered. I know people who say, you know, that's really ugly, that wallpaper, and I need to know why that's still up there. And for sure, we need to know our stuff. So in every sector I've worked in, there's been an ology and some technical stuff that I've needed to know. But more importantly is the fact that in quality roles, you've got opportunities for people to be a mile deep and an inch wide with all of the detail that Hannah referred to. But you also have to have people who understand how it all hangs together, what I talked about earlier about it being engineered. So there's an opportunity in quality for people who are a mile wide and an inch deep. And there aren't any roles in the organisation outside of the quality role and the CEO who actually looks a mile wide and an inch deep. Everybody is in there for silo to some extent. And if you don't want to be in a silo, then this is the career for you.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
thank you.
Just as an example, in my day-to-day working life, I deal with the nuclear function of my company, the supply chain function of my company, everybody in the quality function, also QC, we've got a separate branch, that's just 4, and that's just me as just one person, and that's every single day, yeah. So there's all sorts of opportunities.
Excellent, thank you very much for that. The questions are coming through here quick and fast from our audience. So just quite an interesting one here which has popped up in terms of what type of job role or positions do young quality professionals aspire to be? So essentially, where does a career in quality lead to? Amy, what would your thoughts on that be?
I think it could actually lead anywhere you wanted it to. I mean, there's the obvious career path of up to quality manager, head of quality, director of safety and assurance, but you can also move sideways as well, I think, and if you were interested in a specific aspect of a business, there'd be nothing stopping you from having a sideways move as well. I often think that actually can be of benefit, because the more experience and knowledge you have of the different ways a business works, the better. So really, the world is your oyster.
Brilliant, very good. There's another one here which is really good, and this is one that both the Next Generation Network and the CQI as a whole really have been looking at relatively recently. In terms of, and I'll just read it out here, a recent comment was made to Brian Cox in a CQI interview about the image issues that quality has. So how are the CQI and indeed ourselves within the Next Generation Network going to change this image to make a career in quality more enticing, or as it was insinuated in the interview, make quality sexy? So from a Next Generation Network point of view, in terms of where I'm coming from and all of this here, I think overall what it comes down to is awareness and knowledge of essentially what quality assurance actually is. If I relate it back to whenever I was at my university, back in the university days, I didn't have a clue. There were a few references made to quality in a couple of the degree modules as such, but there was nothing really substantial there that I could really have a firm understanding of. So from a Next Generation Network point of view, we got to encourage the younger people to get involved. And from an organisational point of view, what I personally would encourage a number of organisations to do is really empower the young people within your companies. Let them, give them an opportunity to make a difference and show what impact they can have with an effective quality mindset. Lowellyne, would you have any thoughts on that?
Well, from a business school perspective, business schools have been typically notorious to follow the latest paradigm. And let's refer back to the 1990s. Total quality management was then the current paradigm that existed. There was a lot of research being done into cost of quality, business process reengineering, lean management, and all these different tools were being explored by the then business school academia for a number of different reasons. One was the rising competitiveness of Japanese business and of course later South Korean business. And secondly, it was considered as something new and worthwhile to study. Now, we've moved on into the early beginnings of the 21st century. However, the interest in quality management has seemed to wane for a number of different reasons, because it's not the prevailing paradigm. Secondly, because business schools are not actively, in most cases, researching or promoting quality management as a separate management science discipline. That, however,
do you think they should?
Well, it should be considered as a separate management science discipline. and it should be part and parcel of the curriculum, not only at university level, which I think is a little bit too late, but also at secondary level, where students could be taught Ishikawa 7 tools, such as control charts, histograms, bar charts. So these skills are not just skills for business, but they're life skills. And they quality is a life skill. And that's the argument that I have. So in my own role, I've established a quality strategies for business seminar that happens semi-annually, every 6 months. In spring and in autumn, we bring in practitioners in to show the students how quality management theory and practice is applied within an operational context. And it is very insightful for these students because, one, when they enter into the business school, they are given the usual spiel, okay? Finance, marketing, human resources as being management disciplines. But we all know when you enter into the real world of a real operational environment, the first person that you meet will be a quality management practitioner that gives you the induction, explains to you the procedures of the company. So there's a disjunct between, let's say, what academia currently focuses on and what happens within the operational context, and that gap needs to be shortened.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Another question that's came in here, and this is one that's posed to all of us as a group, in terms of, is there a role for the quality professional on the board of an organisation? And is that something that young professionals aspire to be? And if not, why not? Hannah, what would your thoughts be on that?
I think absolutely. I don't see why there shouldn't be a quality professional on the board because, like the CEO, like Estelle said, there's no other person that has such oversight of the organisation. And if there's going to be anyone that can point out improvement areas, efficiency savings, or even kind of challenge the ethics of an organisation, then I can't think of anyone better than somebody in a quality role, really. And absolutely that's something that I aspire to become a quality director one day. And I think being a quality professional gives you the full skill set to even become a CEO in your own right one day, because you know you gain responsibility early, you have complete oversight of the business, and you have the responsibility to challenge when business is not right. So I don't think why any young quality professional shouldn't aspire as high as they can go, really.
I do think it's important to remember, though, that it's everybody's responsibility in the business to think about quality, and not just one person sitting on the board of directors who takes the flak for the company. I think it needs to be throughout the whole board, and from the CEO down throughout the whole organisation. I think that's really important. Not that I don't think there's a place for a director, I certainly do, but they can't be the only person with that. I think
the
that's
director
important.
should foster a culture of quality within the organisation.
Agree.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Estelle, a question has come in here for you. You've obviously had a really interesting career. Where do you yourself see quality going over the next 10 to 20 years?
Well, I think that everything that we see happening in the world at the moment indicates that there's more need for quality management, and quality professionals rather than less. So Lowellyne mentioned banking, but we've had problems with nuclear power stations in Japan, with oil wells in the Gulf of Mexico, with horse meat and supply chain issues in the UK. Every day I wake up and I get on my high horse in relation to something that I've heard on Radio 4 about a quality failing that's not recognised in any of the questions as being a quality failing. And we talked earlier about the fact that whether or not we talked about quality professionals and the fact that they're not a quibble of quality managers as we used to think of, that these roles are really important. Yet the importance of these roles rarely gets covered in the debate around quality issues that all of us see. So we've got to change the level of debate, and we've got to do that in a number of ways. So more events like this, certainly getting the universities to play their role, and schools, and making sure this is in the curriculum and people understand that these are really key roles. But I think that there are some things that are happening in industry, in commerce, that make it different if we look forward 10 or 20 years. I know in relation to my own role that I'm doing an awful lot more than I used to do in relation to governance. and looking at the set of requirements, most of which are external, that hit Lloyds Register. So when I joined Lloyds Register 6 years ago, we had ISO 9000 globally, but then client pressure from various industry sectors, etc., has meant that we now need to be compliant with the environmental management system, with the health and safety management system, with information security, business continuity, bribery and corruption management system, risk management, asset integrity, etc., etc. And this is coming at us from just everyone thinks that the answer is to put in more regulation and more rules. And actually what you can do is to take it to a point where the business gets so stuffed up with requirements that it can't move any longer. And so there has to be an opportunity to look at this on a risk basis and say, what are the most important things that we need to protect against, mitigate against, that need to be in the management system, and the rest of it doesn't need to be there. And I think this is one of the reasons why the quality manager's role may change, is that they've got to be involved in that discussion about the set of requirements. Otherwise, the regulation's just going to get in the way of absolutely everything, I think.
Excellent, thank you. This is another one really that's came in here, which is relevant to all of us, I guess, which is what is preferred in a quality profession, experience or qualifications? From my point of view, firstly, I think it would have to be a fine balance of both. I think in terms of experience, there's nothing like on-the-job training, because you're not reading out of a textbook or reading PowerPoint slides. However, saying that, I know I'm currently studying a diploma in quality management myself, and I find that to be hugely advantageous whenever I can bring what I've learnt in the theory aspect into the working environment. So to me, that would have to be a fine balance of both.
But there's also quite a lot of attitude in this, isn't there? There's how you are as an individual, and I think Hannah was talking about that earlier.
I think absolutely it's a fine balance, and I think it depends on the organisation you work for, because some organisations, I think it does benefit to have the technical background. So I work for a genetics company, and had I not had a biochemistry degree, I think I would find it harder than I do now. But at the same time, I know from my own experience that, having worked for a software medical device company, I am able to lift bits of my quality experience across different sectors. So I think it's absolutely a balance. You can't have one way or the other, really.
We take all the graduates in Lloyds Register come through my department for a period, and from that I can see whether there's people with a sort of an aptitude for what it is that we're doing, and some of those guys and girls have actually decided to stay and to make their career in quality management, rather than to sort of continue their rotation and move back to whatever it was that they had thought they were joining in the first place.
Okay, thank you. Another interesting one here that has came in again from a young quality professional, asking here about how easy it's going to be to transfer into different industries, and what can I really do to make that transition. So I guess this is someone looking for advice here and really what to do. For those of us early in our careers, we don't have the years of experience that other quality professionals have. I know for myself, I've only got the defence industry to go by. So even if I did want to go into a different industry, it would be relatively difficult for a young person to know exactly where to start. Well, would you have any thoughts on that in terms of transitioning from a theory aspect? How could a young quality professional take the experience they've had in one particular industry, again backed up with some theory, and try to transfer that into a different industry?
Right, quality management gives individuals with a set of skills that is easily transferable. First, the individual must learn his or her own current industry. Okay, so if you're from defense and you'd like to transfer into the oil and gas industry, you have to learn the oil and gas industry. And here comes in continuous learning. Secondly, benchmark your current skill set with what is the expectations of the industry. Okay, so you need to do your own personal benchmarking of your current skills and competencies. And once a gap is identified, then go again and get further training and qualifications. Now, this further training and qualifications, you may need to upskill or probably change your skill set entirely, and that may mean either you may need to do probably, let's say for example, if you're going for a director's role in a new environment, therefore public speaking, public engagement, building of teams, training of people may be necessary in that sense. If it's let's say you're a young professional and you're going for, let's say, an entry-level role, therefore it may mean knowing the actual language of the industry, what is required in terms of competency for that particular profession. So it requires first you knowing the industry that you expect to be into, and then secondly benchmarking and reducing that gap in performance, potential performance, through further training and qualification.
Might I give a personal example? Do you mind if I tell a story in relation to that? Because as I said earlier, I've worked in 4 different industries. So I worked in IT for 20 years before I took a quality role, and I know that doesn't relate to what I'm talking about in terms of, I think you could do it earlier, but for me, it didn't happen. For some time. So I worked for 20 years in IT, took a role in quality, thought I'd be in that company forever. For different reasons in the pub later, I moved. And I went from ISIT into heavy mechanical engineering. And I moved to a company who in the interview said, we're buying you because you have a background in a fast-moving industry and we're a slow-moving industry. So we'd like to understand your business development processes, understanding, and your project management processes. But don't worry, we know all about how to build power stations. So we know all about design, development, manufacture, and putting these things into service. You won't have to go there. I turned up in Brussels, day one, saw the chief exec, and he said, we've had a bit of a problem with the product. And basically it doesn't work as well as we thought, and we're not therefore going to sell it. So we don't want any business development processes, and we don't want any project management processes because we don't have products, and therefore we don't have projects. And I thought, oh my goodness, you know, I've left this industry I've known for 25 years now. I've moved here. I told that one thing, it feels like it's going to be completely different. And I obviously looked at a fair degree of panic in my face. And the chief executive said to me, there are 50,000 people in this organisation, Estelle. 49,999 of them have the same background. They've all got a PhD in mechanical engineering. You think if you were the 50,000th person with the same background, it would have stopped this? Could you please, we bought you because you've been boiled in different fat. Could you please not jump in our fat and taste the same as the rest of us? Now, it took me a while to actually believe what he was saying and to feel anything other than Forrest Gump, but absolutely. Once I'd taken a deep breath and double brandy, I realised he was absolutely right. I did know something different, and I did help that organisation sort it out. Having done it once, I have since then in my career deliberately gone to different sectors. And when I got a job in financial services, it asked for financial services experience. I put in my CV anyway. But you don't know what you're asking for. You don't need someone who actually knows it all already. You need someone who can come in and challenge, who's not in that same paradigm. And I've now made that my forte, is actually not knowing about the industry before I've gone there. But obviously you need to have people you can work with who do. And that's what this career, that's what quality management offers you. It's skills in something completely different.
So that transition from one industry to another, did you find that yourself personally difficult to do, or did you find because you had a quality mindset already, you were able to adapt to it?
Clearly, I found it harder than I thought I was going to find it, given that I wasn't able to use the specific process expertise that I thought I brought.
Yes.
But it was only in that circumstance that I found that I offered something different. And quite a lot of people think that quality skills are just a bit of common sense. Anyone who has any time can do our stuff. Well, if it's common sense, it's not really common practice. And so what I say to the guys is that there are skills here. To Lowellyne's point, it's a life skill. It's something different that you have to learn. And what you need to do is to make sure that the organisation you're working with understands that you bring that something different. So that's the bit that I've honed up. But yes, it was hard the first time. Now it's a walk in the park.
Excellent, thank you very much. Another one that's came in here, Amy, perhaps you can help me out on this one. This one talking about, should we not be putting more emphasis on more university courses, that quality is integral to business success?
I wouldn't say so at all. I mean, I've come from a linguistics background that's not even business related at all, and I've found that I've been able to pick things up just as well as anybody else would. So I don't really think that university is even that important, to be honest. I know people who come into my business as trainees, they come straight from sixth form in as quality trainees, and they build up their experience. They do CQI qualifications, and they do go to university and do a degree whilst they're working, but there's nothing to say you can't pick it up as you go along.
You're absolutely right, and I think from as far as the Next Generation Network is concerned, that's something that we're going to be looking at over the next, definitely in the very short term, getting into universities, but also getting into the schools as well, trying to spread this quality ethos, if you like.
Alan, not to defend academia, okay, but it is not about the process or the pathway by which you develop these skills. No, there are many different pathways. Okay, you could either go along the experiential route, which was the traditional pathway for quality management. It was originally traditional pathway. Or alternatively, you could go through the qualification route. Now, what qualification provides is that underpinning knowledge, that body of knowledge of quality management that is required for onward progression in this profession. What we have existing now, because of the evolution of quality management in terms of quality management training and practice, is that we have individuals now in very senior management positions without any qualification, and they're finding themselves within work teams whereby they are guys with PhDs, MBAs, and we have the quality manager with no skills or with skills but with no qualification, having to discuss project management, having to assist in business change without any underpinning understanding of management theory and practice. So if this profession, which is going to be here to stay, quality isn't going to go away. If this profession is to improve, which is part of our ethos, is continuous improvement, we need ourselves to also improve in terms of standards of expected performance and qualification as well. So that is the argument. The argument is that how quality managers and quality professionals need to be in positions of decision making. In order for you to be in a position of decision making, you need to provide knowledge, and that knowledge could come, yes, by skills and training, but more importantly, having an understanding of business practice and business principles.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Lowellyne. So finally, Hannah, how do you feel that being part of the CQI benefits you as a quality professional?
I think for me there's two main areas really. The first is the communication. I work in the medical device industry, and that's the only industry that I've ever worked in. So being able to meet people like yourself in the defence industry and people in academia, you know, there's an opportunity to speak to other people, get ideas and benchmark your organisation and yourself against other people. The other main thing for me is recognition. I'm involved with the CQI Next Generation Network, as well as I write many things for the CQI blog and the Quality World magazine. And it's just having that opportunity to, you know, communicate to people that you can do this and you are interested and passionate about what you do. So for me, the CQI is all about interaction and recognition, really.
Estelle?
For me, the CQI is also all about recognition as well. Is that what you're...
Yes, absolutely, yes, the CQI.
I mean, I guess to a degree, I've got where I've got because of the CQI. So I'm not expecting the CQI necessarily to help me make my next career move. I've used it in order to help me, support me to get where I've got. I've used it when I've been outside of the UK, not just for people inside. But I'm at a point now where really what I'd like to do is to understand better how to make things better for the next generation rather than for me. And I'm going to do that, put those efforts through the CQI channel and the channel that these guys are part of.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So, if you are interested in careers in quality, or if you're already a budding quality professional and would like to network, effect change and further your career, visit www.thecqi.org/NGN and join the Next Generation Network today. If you're an established quality professional and would like to advocate quality careers, please encourage any young quality professionals you know to join the NGN. I'd like to thank all of the panellists here today, and also the audience for posing questions before and during the event. Thank you very much.